Hey y'all, we're back on the Rcsb project. I have already installed the front suspension on the passenger side. Check it out. Then a clean Brolic frame and the zinc plated Detroit axle rotors, cross drilled and slotted for better braking. Went ahead and painted that caliper the same color as the engine. It's in there. It's easier to see on the driver's side. Got the 2-inch drop spring, the 2-inch drop spindle. Made a custom mount to mount the 5100 series Bilsteins on the front of my truck to help control the front of the truck better, being as I'm going with a 20-inch wheel. So let's go ahead and get on the driver's side and I'll show you how I knocked this out and made this happen. Man, it is clean. So fresh, so clean. So I'm Big D. This is my channel Modified. Finally getting to modifying something after a couple years of playing with a Suburban. It's slightly modified, but nothing really horsepower related. This is the engine out of my 06 Silverado extended cab that I have a crate motor. We're gonna go ahead and drop in later this year. Right now we're trying to get this regular cab short bed put back together. So far I have the 2-inch drop spindles installed, the energy suspension, dust boot covers, upper and lower. All the frame's been wire brushed, wire wheeled, pressure washed, and painted with Chassis Saver Flat Black. I might have said this already, but there's a 2-inch drop spring, 2-inch drop spindle, giving the truck a 4-inch drop on the front. And we're going with a nice set of 20-inch D-clads that I had done a while back. So it'll be sitting on 20s, nothing huge, but very, very race oriented, very performance oriented. We're just building a sport truck. It's not a low rider and it's not a dragster. It's just a little truck that can do everything very, very well. So I'm going to go ahead and finish. We're going to clean up this brake caliper I got hanging by a piece of baling wire here off the rotor or the drop spindle. And we'll go ahead and put the hubs on, the rotor on, and the brakes. But first of all, let's go ahead and just clean this all up so we can make it look as good as the other side. So this tie rod end, it's got no slack at all whatsoever. I mean, it's very tight. It's even stiff to move. It's a brand new piece. The guy I had bought the truck from said he had just put a front end on it, but these rubber boots from the factory, I think they're made out of like old car tires or something. They just don't last. So the energy suspension ones, which are not sponsored, nothing is sponsored. I'll go ahead and just cut these off and replace them with these energy suspension boots. I already put the other side on, but good stuff. They pretty much last forever. It's kind of a silicone, nice bright red. You know, looks really good. So we'll just finish cutting this off of here. And the boot just kind of goes over the control arm that's already there. Always cut away from yourself. Man, I can't get over this this weather we're having. It's February in Louisiana. This morning it was 32 degrees. It was freezing. Now it's 55 degrees. I'm in a long sleeve, but I mean, it's comfortable. So the paint's taking forever to dry because it's always damp around here, and right now it's cold, so the paint can't evaporate. So I'm out here with a damn heat gun trying to get everything to kind of like speed up the process. So this video is taking way longer than I would like it to due to paint drying time. We're gonna get it done either way. Finish cutting this off this direction. All the grease in it's nice and clean. Bunch of stuff I kind of figure out as I go, but I know a lot about suspensions. Very confident in giving my opinion on that. But in Louisiana, we got a term for this weather. It's called first fake spring. Because I'm trying to get this done before the next cold front comes through, which is tonight at like midnight. And it's gonna be 28 degrees when we wake up tomorrow morning. So I can get this paint on here and set. We'll be in good shape for finishing this on time. So I can't put this in and tighten it up because I got my brake caliper suspended by a piece of baling wire here. That way I can clean it up, spray it off with brake parts cleaner. It's black. It's just got brake dust on it. This is a new brake caliper. Like the guy that I'd bought the truck from completely redid the whole front suspension probably about 6 months before I bought it from him. The 4.8 that was in it threw a timing chain. Weird for an LS motor to throw a timing chain, but that's exactly what happened. So you could hear when you turned it over, it just sounded all out of whack. So I bought a crate motor for my pre-runner project, and here we are. So for this brake caliper, now that I got it hanging here, there's no tension on the line's nice and loose. I'm just gonna go take this regular old hand wire brush because I don't want to make a lot of mess over everything I've just gotten cleaned up. And just with a light wire brushing all this little brake dust, you can see the wind just blowing it right off. It comes back clean pretty easily. The front of the truck was not coated with like grease and grime and all that, just whatever was on the leaking power steering pump and power steering rack. But I'm just gonna go here and get this kind of knocked off and hit it with some brake parts cleaner to just blow all the dust and dirt off. This is more just like gravel road dust. You can see it already looks better than when I started. This doesn't really take all that long. It's the drying time for the paint that I'm using. See on the backside, that's already back to almost new. Didn't see the point in buying new parts that aren't broken. That's pretty much it right there. A little bit of brake dust and let's hose it off. So to avoid getting everything all over all the brand new pretty stuff I just put on there, that's why I did it down here. This stuff really just blasts off any rubber, oily substance that may stop the paint from adhering. And that caliper right there, we're ready for paint. The paint that I painted my engine with was VHT Chevy Orange aerosol ceramic paint. I also repainted the engine bracket on the front that holds the alternator and the power steering pump with this. This is some old stuff, some good stuff. It's made in New Orleans. It's Duralux International Orange, and it's like one shade off of Chevy Orange. It's a little bit brighter. I think it looks a little bit better. This is a heavy-duty marine coating that they paint diesel engines with in boats. This is prepped. It's dry. There's nothing else in here. So we're just going to go ahead and paint the orange right over everything I just wire brushed and cleaned. And I'm going to do 2 coats. And brush paint, you know, there's no waste with brush paint. It doesn't half fly off into the atmosphere. And it all goes right where you put it. Get up in there really good. But I just want this to be the cleanest. Kind of like a frame-on restoration of a 01 Silverado, because these are starting to get just as popular as the OBS Chevys. So I'm really just going to paint what you see, because it's not like it's ceramic coated or anything. And I don't want to get paint on the dust boots for the calipers. But I can stand here and talk to y'all for an hour while I paint this, because that's about how long it's going to take me. So I'll go ahead and finish putting the first coat on this, and then we'll go ahead and clean the bracket off, put a coat on it. So I got the first coat of orange on the caliper, and it came out nice and bright. But I didn't get anything on the backside just because there's no reason to, and I don't want any of that sticking to my brake pads. So it's going to need 2 coats. We'll let that tack up for an hour or so. It's a really, really heavy industrial paint, and good luck getting it off once it dries. So here's the bracket. Same thing. It's just kind of dusty. I'm going to go ahead and get my wire brush. And you make a few passes on it. You can see that dust come right off of there. And, you know, it's like new again. Back to the factory powder coated black. But all the rubber things, there's no tears in them. They're perfect. They're still squishy. Let's say they're not really, they don't have that many miles on them. Not really that used. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up now. Throw a coat of paint on it. I use the 9-chlorinated. That way if any gets on this rubber parts, it doesn't ruin them. The 9-chlorinated or the chlorinated kind hardens rubber and plastic parts. Makes them brittle and they break. But as it dries, nice and clean. And then once it's dry, I don't want to touch my fingers, but it's ready for paint. Sun finally came out. It's about 1 in the afternoon and it feels good. Like it's probably 60 to 65 degrees now. So hopefully this paint will dry before the sun goes down. And then I got to get the heat gun out again. But yeah, I found that brush painting is the best way. It's better than the spray paint because it goes on thicker. It's more durable. You could use Rust-Oleum. It doesn't have to be this. I just happened to find this at an Ace Hardware. It's the last can they had. So while my caliper's drying and the bracket for the caliper's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the sway bar off. I already got it loose. It was a 10mm. So I think I'm gonna paint this gloss black to match my coil springs. While I'm painting everything, I might as well paint it up too. So it's just rusty. This will wire brush up pretty easily. Got a little bit of dampness on that side. So I gotta say, 20-year-old me would have definitely painted that sway bar orange, but it's gonna be too much. I just kind of want to leave the whole underside of the truck black and clean and just have orange accents. I think that in its entirety, that stands out, complements itself by itself. And with a big bright silver or white wheel over it, it'll stand out just fine. And everything else will just disappear. Unless you just happen to notice there's a silver shock and a gloss black spring. So I'm gonna go ahead and wire wheel the sway bar now and go ahead and give it a coat of gloss black. Give it a coat of gloss black and energy suspension polyurethane bushings over the factory gross ones. Clean those up. Put the nice bushings on there because they're the correct length. I didn't change a whole lot as far as length of the ends for the tie rods. And I have some energy suspension greasable. Boom. Sway bar bushings to take care of these. There's less slack in these, so you'll get more feedback in the steering wheel. It'll feel tighter just like a car would. So, you know, it's a sport truck. Not really going to haul much in it. It's still capable, but give it better handling characteristics with some energy suspension bushings. So as far as the sway bar bushings go, this little U-bolt just kind of pops off and they just unclamshell out from underneath them. Not that there's anything wrong with these at all, but the other ones, I think they're going to be a little stiffer and provide a little bit better feedback as far as turning goes. And those are factory original from 01. But I'm going to get just any loose stuff off with the wire wheel and then hit this with some gloss black. So when you wipe it and the rag still looks clean, ready for paint. It'd help if I'd pressed the button whenever I started painting, huh? Pretty gloss black. This is the paint that's left over from doing the, come on wind. Now the wind picks up. This is the paint left over from doing the drive shaft. So I'll just hit this side up, let it dry, and flip it. Pretty gloss black. Nice and shiny. I like it. I store my can sideways so the paint don't settle. So doing double duty while the while the sway bar is drying, I'm gonna go ahead and throw coat number 2 on this caliper. It's been about 2 hours. It should take it just fine. Hit it with the heat gun right here a couple times just to make sure that the top was flashed enough to dry. That's how damp and wet it is out here. This is the same brush. I started the other side yesterday. The brush still isn't hard. And if you dunk it back into paint and you move it around just a little bit, the paint softens the bristles right back up. And you can go ahead and throw the next coat using the same brush. You could also put them in a Ziploc bag and that saves them from drying out also. But this is just not the right conditions for paint to dry quickly. Because I put the first coat on this way, I'll throw the second coat on sideways. So with the second coat on that caliper, that thing is shining like a diamond, man. And I got the second coat. Since I have a transmission taken apart on my table over there, under all those boxes to keep it protected from the rain, well, transmission jack is doubled as a painting table. So with the bracket painted, the caliper painted, and the sway bar, I'm at a standstill. Just out here waiting for paint to dry in the damp cold, which is going to take forever. So I'm going to spend a couple hours with the heat gun, just going over everything, watching YouTube videos, and you know, catching up on my people I watch. And we'll pick this back up again tomorrow. All right, y'all. It is the next day, and a cold front come through last night, and it is cold out here. I had painted all my orange stuff and sat out here off camera for about 2 hours with the heat gun, just manually drying it. And I went and wire brushed my sway bar, painted it gloss black with some rattle can, Rust-Oleum. Come out pretty good. It's hanging behind me. And let's go ahead and put all the front suspension parts back on this truck and see if we put some wheels on it, sit on the ground, see what this 4-inch drop looks like. So the first thing we're going to do is put the backing plate for the disc brakes and the bearing in. I already got my bolts in. Remember, when you put drop spindles, run that top bolt in before you even put the spindle down on it. They go together, and that notch goes where the sensor goes. So this is together as, you know, its own unit. So you just kind of match that up, the front. So I'm going to start all three by hand first. That way you can make sure you get all three to actually start before you start wrenching them down. I just went and reused the same hubs. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. These were good. Like I keep saying, the guy that had the truck before me had replaced the entire front suspension. And I've gotten these hubs out the box last 100 or 200 miles and have to change them out under warranty. I don't know what these have on them, but they were good when I took them off. So they may have years left on them. Who knows? These Chevy hubs are kind of iffy sometimes. But I went and started putting all this back together and didn't grab my wrench. I believe these are 15 millimeter. Just grab a little ratchet wrench. The right way helps. So yeah, 15 will put the bolts all in. And I'll just get them all snug and go ahead and tighten them. Still got my brake caliper hanging by some baling wire, so it's out of the way. No brake cables were harmed in the making of this video. That's why I got it suspended. Ugh. That's torqued. So yeah, the cable's still loose, but the baling wire is holding everything. So the next thing we're going to need is the rotor out of this box. There we go. Brand new cross-drilled slotted rotor. That already has a look to it, man. I love that. The orientation usually is forward as it spins to disperse the heat. Depends on the brand. Some of them want you to put them on the other direction. So follow your directions. But I'm gonna go ahead and grab a lug nut just to keep it on, because these didn't come with the little screw that holds them on. I didn't clean my bolts off. I'm not putting dirty bolts back on all this brand new clean stuff. I'm gonna go wire brush these. These come out nice. You can read the property class on the bolt, and they're kind of still shiny. This pretty orange painted bracket. This just bolts on to the back. Show y'all what I'm doing back here. So I got my bracket on with these bolts in the back. Go ahead and tighten those up. That's an 18 millimeter for sure. Oh no. Let's see, you can turn this some. Turn. There we go. Can't never put these tight enough. Man, oh, it looks good, all that color contrast. Okay, now we can put the caliper on, which is just the 2 bolts go in these slides. I got those all cleaned up. I'm gonna lube them up. Pop the brake pads on. So the pads just kind of pop in over the slides here. Try not to touch the orange paint because it's cold and the paint's dry but not cured. There. I'll slide on. That slides on. Nice brand new brake pads. And that's why I put that one lug nut on to hold the rotor straight. For ease of removal, I'm just going to cut. Try not to hold it because, like, you know, it's dry but it ain't cured. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the baling wire that I put as a bracket. Got the slider bolts all cleaned up. I'm going to put the top one in and then grease it with the, you know, sequence. So they're nice and greased. So good. Carefuling is a thing. Get the little rubber deals just right. For the slider bolts, you don't get junk in them. And that is on. So I got my slider bolts all cleaned off. I'm gonna put some grease on them. The grease is even so cold, it doesn't want to do right. I cannot wait to put this on and show y'all what it looks like with the wheels on it, sitting on the ground, so I can go inside and edit this video because it is cold out here. All right, so I'm just gonna apply some slide bolt grease to these, and as they twist in, they will lubricate themselves pretty much. So I only want to put it on the end. And these just go in the back side. So I get one hand free at a time so I can adjust the caliper so it lines up straight. And these actually thread into the caliper on this model truck. That one's lined up. That extra time I took putting the heat gun on this brake caliper really paid off. Because I can move it around a little bit and not worry about the paint just coming off of my hands. There you go. Lined up. And I believe this is a T55 Torx bit on these. So yeah, T5 Torx on this one. You can just run these in. Go on straight. Oh, you don't get any water in there. So it makes your brakes stick. And this one. There you go. Brake caliper on. Man, that Chevy orange brake caliper matching the engine, kind of tying it all together. That's so cool looking. It is freezing out here. It's like the longer the day goes on, the colder it gets. I'm trying to get this wrapped up. Got my energy suspension dust boot on my ball joint here. This is an 18 millimeter also, and the 8 hex on the bottom side to hold it. Go ahead and pop that in there. Try not to hit my head again on the bumper. Then I can kind of finish tying my lines up. So yeah, I just hold this bottom with this 8 conical tie rod end seats into the spindle there. ABS sensor, that gets routed up here. The brake line already fell into place. I just need to put the bolt in for that. I've got the stock location for the brake caliper bracket, for the brake line. Find your home. I am loving the way this is coming together with the gloss black spring and the silver shock with the matte black everything else. Looks so good. And then the ABS line clicks into this. And then it runs this way. But we'll go ahead and just peel this off of here because it's broken. Peel that open, take that off. I'll just lay it where it belongs. Click it into place. And then in the factory location, it lived about right there. So that's where I'll go ahead and put it. I wonder if there's a YouTube channel called Zip Tie Garage. Like a duct tape garage. Yeah. How do I go there? This will go in its little home right here. I'm gonna put one more on it just to be good. Oh man, I can't hardly feel my hands. But yeah, it's in a good spot. Clip the zips. Good as new. So I hung this up last night to dry. And it got rained on, but it lived. It's don't want to bang it or nothing because it's all clean and pretty. Sway bar. Sway bar goes where it wants to fit. There you go, like this. To where these end up being flat with the control arm. So when I popped it in there like this, first I need to get the new bushings. So I got these factory ones taken off. Little grungy. Still worked. But I got these energy suspension ones to go back on. Sway bar bushings. Ready? These just kind of clamshell open. They're kind of greasy from the factory. I just pop these over here. I don't really remember where they go, but I can slide them where they need to be. Once I try to put it underneath the truck by myself. And there's a greaser that lines up with the hole. You pop them on. They'll stay. God, it's so cold. It's like I'm sniffling and everything. I need to get this over with. I'm standing in the water and freezing outside. It's crazy. All right. Let's pop this under the truck. I didn't see the point in putting a newer bar. I'm going to move these out a little wider. This one's already pretty thick. I think it's like 1 3/8 or 1.5 inches. So it's pretty thick. So, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Let's set this in place. Yep, I knew that was going to happen. So I got my sway bar routed over the tie rod end, and then now it's time to put the end links on. I'm going to finish tightening the bushings up. I got to get it centered first. The easy way. Sway bar and links. Oh, right there. I'm gonna go in this little area here. All right, last but not least, sway bar and links. Now, I'm not gonna change the link itself because they're made for the truck. They fit great. I've had problems trying to get aftermarkets to work. So I'm just gonna go ahead and change the bushings. Bushings is what goes bad, not necessarily the link itself. So like any other link, it's gonna have 8 bushings, and these clean up, but it just fell off. But the cool thing about the stock ones is the back of the bolt is captured. This is the nut. There's your spacer rod. And there's the bolt. And here's all your worn out rubber parts. Now, they're not necessarily worn out. They've been squished a little bit. These, on the other hand, don't ever go anywhere. I'm just going to clean these up with a little wire brush and hit it with a spritz of black. And they'll look good as new. But with the red bushings, perform better than new. Cool. Well, I'm gonna go grab me a little lunch while these dry. And if I gotta hit them with the heat gun, I will. But this isn't gonna take much. I'll be back in a second to finish putting the rest of these on. So I'm gonna grab 2 bushings, and I'm gonna put one in this hole here on the lower control arm, and put my little spacer. Oh, there we go. Okay. Y'all, it is like cold, let me tell you. I think it got colder since this morning. So that goes up in there. This goes down on here. And you can kind of squish it together a little bit to hold it. And then you run your bolt all the way through. So I grab my bolt and I put the new washer on because it's new. And a new bushing. Go right through the bottom with it. Can't get any easier. Lord. Can't get any easier, and then it explodes on me. This is pretty easy. It can't get any easier than explosions. So put that up in here. We'll hold the bolt. Put the new one on the bolt. Slide that all up into itself. Make sure that's in the hole for the sway bar. And then you grab the top captured nut with the shiny black paint. Put this on this way to where the piece with the ring on it wants to touch the other one. So you got to kind of force it on this one. So I went over to my vise and I just kind of like pushed it through. It's all threaded all the way. I'm gonna push up on this bolt and then get this started up here, which it gives you a lot of thread to get started. And it's essentially going to run down into the other bushing, but here's the trick. Don't tighten it up yet till you get the other side done, because this will stop you from tightening the other side. So I'm going to just kind of get this hand tight where it wants to sit loosely. And then you just get a pair of channel locks and you hold the top and then tighten it all down in the bottom with a 13 millimeter right through that hole right there. So I'm gonna go rinse, repeat the other side, and then we'll throw some wheels on it, drop it off the lift, and see how low this thing looks with a 4-inch drop. Just tighten the other side up, put it on. We'll go ahead and hold this top. And 13 through the bottom. And everything pulls down nice and tight. And that is it. Time for some wheels. All right, so here's one last look at it before I throw the tires on it and then put it on the ground and see what this 4-inch drop looks like. Brand new cross-drilled slotted rotors. Got the gloss black 2-inch drop springs that goes with the gloss black sway bar. I've got red energy suspension bushings and dust boots on everything. All the frame has been nice and freshened up with black. Power steering rack installed. Custom shock mounts for the 5100 series. Bilsteins. And man, that is exactly what I was talking about. As clean as it can get. I don't know if y'all watch LT Tolman, you should check him out. He always says, do the best you can to the best of your ability. And I think I pulled that one off with this one. So, super clean. Get the orange engine up in there. We brought a little bit of the inside to the outside with the orange brakes. Throw a set of D-clads on it. See how low it looks. Man, that is legit. Look at that. Probably should put a light in there. Can't really see it so well. There you go. Oh, I love that. All right, let's go get some wheels. I had these D-clad. Then I started kind of playing with them, trying to figure out what kind of YouTube video I wanted to make about it. So these have been sanded, and I started to polish them. And I painted a couple of them. But I think for this truck, I'm gonna end up just painting them white or high, brilliant, lustrous metal flake silver. But to show off the brakes and the calipers, let's throw the dark ones on. Let's see, I'll grab this one here. Well, I'm gonna put 3 lugs on because they're not staying on forever. Let me get one for the other side. That's right where I wanted it. Oh man, look at that. God, look how high the back is compared to the front. And it used to be kind of close. That is perfect. And sure, once I back it off the lift and pull it forward, it'll settle down just a little bit. And it'll put that tire right on the fender, right what I'm looking for. So I'm not making a lowrider, I'm making a sport truck. So it's gotta have a little bit of ground clearance. Still ride good, perform very well. And I think this is where it's got to go. Those tires, this D-clads come out freaking sweet. Oh God, this cold's got me like sniffling and everything. But this is exciting, like finally making progress. Whew. See what else I gotta do. Gotta hook up the plumbing, fill up the power steering with fluid, top off the radiator, put the electric fans in it, and I can wrap this up under here. Front suspension's wrapped up. Man, does that come out good. I can't get over this. This is what I've been trying to do the whole time. Modified. Oh, that is every bit of performance car that I was looking for. It looks like the back is still on. It looks like the back is still on the lift, but it's not. So I got this axle coming up. This is a 14 bolt. Got off a marketplace. It's out of a heavy half. 373, I believe it's posit traction. I'll pop off the diff cover and find it. If it's not, we're gonna make it posit traction. And then we're gonna do the rear drop and swap the bed over. And of course, while the bed's off, we're gonna go ahead and clean the frame up, measure for shocks, do the axle flip, and get this truck, sport truck, ready. I appreciate y'all watching. This has been one hell of a week and a hell of a video with the weather and waiting for parts and all this and that, but thank y'all for hanging out with me. Appreciate it. Catch y'all next week. Later.